This is KGW News at noon.
And we start with breaking news. Portland police are on the scene of a shooting at Southwest 14th and Jefferson here in the downtown area. This happened just after 11 a.m. Police confirm one person was injured. Witnesses say they heard gunshots, saw someone being loaded into an ambulance and another person in handcuffs. Officers confirm someone is in custody and there is no threat to the public. Just a heads up for drivers in the area, Southwest Jefferson is closed between 14th and 16th Avenues as police investigate. We'll let you know when those streets reopen. You can look for updates on air and on KGW.com.
NATO has never been more united than it is today. Putin is getting exactly the opposite what he intended to have as a consequence of going into Ukraine.
Now to the latest on the crisis in Ukraine. Just about an hour ago, President Biden spoke about the next steps for NATO and the U.S. when it comes to helping Ukrainians. He announced more sanctions on Russia and more military aid to our European allies. That includes $2 billion in military assistance to Ukraine and $1 billion for humanitarian help. The White House says it will allow 100,000 Ukrainian refugees to enter the United States. President Biden is traveling to Poland tomorrow. That's where most of Ukraine's refugees have settled. Well, the four-day confirmation hearing for U.S. Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson wrapped up today. If confirmed, she'll become the first black woman on the high court. Today, senators heard testimony from the American Bar Association and outside witnesses, both for and against her confirmation. The Judiciary Committee is set to vote on Jackson's nomination a week from Monday on April 4th. The White House hopes to win some Republican support, but Democrats can confirm her without it.
I think just having these conversations in our community between family, friends, teachers, students is just really important because just one pill can be deadly.
A warning from local doctors and addiction experts about fake prescription pills laced with deadly doses of fentanyl. They say there is a way to stop this cycle. Sadly, it comes too late for two teens from Multnomah County who overdosed this month. But their families are sharing their stories in hopes of saving someone else. Here's Galen Etlin.
Cal was a pretty typical teenager.
Jen and John Epstein of Beaverton say their 18-year-old son, Cal, struggled with anxiety and used some drugs to cope.
So we got him professional help and thought he was in a good path and sent him off to school.
In 2020, he came home from his first year at college.
When we found him unresponsive in his bed with a few pills next to him, he never recovered and he passed away a few days later.
The pills were fake prescriptions laced with the potent synthetic drug fentanyl, a story shared by too many.
I tragically lost my 17-year-old son, Zachary.
These parents shared their experience as part of a national webinar this week about overdose risk.
What do you think can be done?
Most importantly, we need to increase awareness.
Dr. Sarah Leitz is chief of addiction medicine at Kaiser Permanente Northwest. She says fentanyl supply is growing in Oregon.
Just trying one pill for people could be deadly. It's not just opioids. We're seeing it in cocaine, methamphetamine mixed in with heroin, etc.
In 2020, Oregon saw more than 470 overdoses and about the same number in the first half of 2021.
Our entire community is at risk.
Dr. Leitz says adults and teens face this danger, but that teens especially may not realize pills they've picked up are fake. With mental health concerns rising through the pandemic, she urges families to take this approach.
Let adolescents know that they're not alone. So if they reach out for help, they're not going to get in trouble. They're not going to get kicked out of their school.
Empathy and support, it sounds like, over punishment.
Definitely.
Signs of overdose include unresponsiveness to noise and touch, weak pulse, shallow breathing, and pupils the size of pinpoints. As cases rise, Dr. Leitz recommends many more people in the community also carry Narcan with them, an overdose reversal drug.
We need to save lives.
For the Epsteins, sharing education about fentanyl
100 times more potent than morphine
is their way to make sure Cal's memory lives on to save others.
This is a problem that most of America isn't talking about, and we need to be.
I'm Galen Etlin for KGW News.
Incredible images out of Lake Oswego. Take a look at that. Police say this car was speeding and took flight, launching through this home and taking out a chunk of the second floor and part of the roof. Still, that was not enough to stop it. This happened around 5 o'clock yesterday evening off Burgess Road. Burgess makes a sharp 90-degree turn. Police say the driver was traveling at least 100 miles an hour, but instead of turning right, the car kept going straight. After hitting the house, the vehicle fell and came to a stop in a neighbor's backyard. The driver is in the hospital this noon. No word on his or her condition. Well, you will likely see big crowds around the Oregon Convention Center this week. Librarians from across the country are coming here for Portland's first large convention since before the pandemic. For the next 2 days, 4,500 librarians will be going to workshops and exploring different exhibits. Organizers say Portland was at the top of their destination list.
We love being in Portland. The way that Portland has this really great grassroots community and this heart for activism is a really great match for what public libraries do.
Organizers expect the conference to pump $4 million into the local economy at various stores and restaurants. All right, let's check in with Rod this afternoon. It's looking good out there with some sunshine.
Yes, beautiful day. My goodness. All right, we have a little cloudiness mainly along the north coast, and there actually was some fog banks that formed mainly south of Salem down to Eugene. Some of that cloudiness is hanging around, but otherwise it's just gorgeous outside. Here's Yaquina Bay in Newport, pretty active in the bay there with some boats or fishing vessels headed out and in. 55 at the coast right now. There will be 60-degree temperatures today. Basically, it's clear over downtown Portland. We have a light wind. We're at 50 degrees. We certainly will continue our warm up into the 60s. Remember, before we switch the clocks forward, it would only be 11:07 right now, and it would probably be 54 at noon, which will become 1 o'clock today. So we should get up into the 60s. Here's a look at some thicker high clouds up to our north, but a beautiful day as well. That's Three Rivers Golf Course up in the Kelso Longview area. Our day planner, we're going to leave the projected high at 64 degrees, 57 to 8 o'clock tonight. I made a little tweak to the weekend, mainly on Saturday. We'll have that forecast coming up.